Jeff Mulgan's A Short Intro to the Studio School really opened up my eyes in terms of how should school look? What is the most important need in regards for innovation in school? I love that this foundation, the Young Foundation, and you can see the website link here on the Google Doc. Check it out. It's really cool. Um, it leads to some outside of the box thinking in terms of traditional school and the types of things that we've been used to and accustomed to for pretty much all of our experiences, whether in school or teaching. Um, it seems very similar to a focus on career and technical education, which I believe strongly in and that we need more of here in America. And I've jotted down a couple of points that I pulled out as I watched this video. Bored teenagers being the first thing, one of the biggest pushes for this idea of the studio school. We think about apathy, lack of motivation in our own classrooms, and if students were actually doing rather than just sitting and getting, how much more would our learning outcomes be? Also, the big issue with employers being unhappy with the skills that students had in the workplace. As a high school educator, I oftentimes would hear once students graduated from various employers, well, students are late or they they lack these skills. So for students to receive hands-on learning opportunities to gain these skills, that would be even more important. There was also the focus of non-cognitive skills, for instance, things like motivation. How can we get students to become more motivated when it comes to learning? And thus, over in the UK, their answer was the studio school, where they could integrate both working and learning together. And I like this idea. I really can see how this would be a viable option here in America as well. These schools were small, no more than about 400 students. The students could receive that one on one necessary attention that they need so desperately for individualized learning instead of just meaningless tasks or projects. We often hear students say, well, why do I need to know this? Or why is this assignment important? These projects that students are given in the studio school, they're real life, they're practical, they're the types of projects they're going to encounter in the workplace. I love the approach that the studio school took in regards to coaching, having coaches along with teachers to help students reach those desired outcomes. And I think we can all agree that students learn best by doing, working in teams, and actually doing things for real. This isn't just busy work. These are applicable, they're relevant, and they lead to higher learning outcomes. The studio school has taken quite a popular approach as far as gaining momentum. They tried the schools in two different locations, and young people love them so much that they've grown. They've grown tremendously. New schools are opening up. Um, as far as like the cost, because that was one of my questions that I had is how does all this really look? How much does the funding, what does the funding portion look like? Well, really, no big money was needed. They said the schools were spread mostly by word of mouth, and that's how they've gained their popularity. And then just the whole concept of the power of idea and turning education on its head, not being afraid to think outside the box and try something different. And to me, that goes back to the whole importance of school improvement in terms of technology. This is a part of our world. This is a part of the students' world. If we can channel the use of technology so that it's productive in terms of the jobs that they'll receive, being career ready, to me, that's our biggest goal is to allow students to use technology to gain these skills so that they can then go into the workplace and be productive citizens. Um, And I think this is a good start. I like the concept of the studio school, and I believe it could work here as well.